clever here, top of the morning. Let's get to it, rise and grind. So I'm here in the gym, I guess you could say the second home, where it's time to really do what I do. So, just to start, premise everything, I've been on a fast 2 weeks ago, and I want to discuss some of the benefits of actually staying on a fast and when you do a fast, how beneficial it can be as far as increasing your discipline and overall just mindset. We know some of the benefits of a fast on the physical aspect. Mine was spiritually based. You know, Scripture says some of these things come by fasting and praying. So sometimes you're going through some attacks, a lot of spiritual warfare, things going on. You really got to take some time to truly seek Him out and continue forward on your fast. On this one, right here, I'm in the gym and I'm just noticing some differences, some changes in some of my lifts and just how my body is starting to sculpt. And I'm grateful for this process and this time right now because in the midst of this fast, I get to kind of see and restart my mind, my body, and ultimately have a even baseline and a platform where I can just start literally from the ground up and work my way up. So I guess the barrier to entry isn't so difficult. You know how you feel extremely sluggish, you may be overweight and it's just these mental blocks and hurdles that are in your way. But when you're kind of starting to restart it, refresh your baseline, which is your body, getting all those toxins out, mentally, spiritually, physically, you have a nice even playing field to kind of build from. So, one of the beauties of a fast is to, as I say, to kind of give your whole system, nervous system, a restart and a reboot, but have yourself a spot where it's not as difficult, because you have said no, denied yourself, denied some of your pleasures during this process while you want to fast. So those old habits, you're not already into those old habits. You refrain for those throughout the fast. So it's an easy starting point to just pick up for where you are right now and go ahead and get to it and make some things happen. So one of the fastest ways to discipline is literally going through the fast process. Fast is not easy. In this day and time, it just seems real trendy. Intermittent fast and all that, it has its benefits, is good, but I'm talking about like a true fast. I did a 5-day fast, just a small meal in the evening, about 7 to 8 p.m., just water. And it was challenging. It was one of my more difficult fasts, but a lot of beauty and things came from that. A few things that I've been reflecting on throughout this process, post-fast is, initially my why. Why am I doing this? What am I trying to get out of it? And how am I trying to go about the process? So a couple of things is the why, as I stated earlier, when you're going through different seasons and difficulties in your life, strongholds, different stuff, you really have to, seek God earnestly and get to a place of solitude where you can just remove distractions and seek Him. So ultimately, that was the main reason and the why. And as I further explained the additional benefits behind that. So the why process, that was the main focus. I'm looking for some breakthroughs, some things to shift, some changes. You kind of feel a season of things happening, even in the midst of your life when things are going well. Don't look at it as a time only when you're in turmoil or chaos that you need to seek Him. That's great and all, but when things are going well as well, seek for new provision, new revelation. So that's another benefit of going on a fast. So, my why, the process about going about it, like what I wanted to do. So I was like, all right, Lord, as I've been praying, speak to me, speak to my heart, tell me how to move, navigate. And in the process, I'm like, all right, I'll do a meal a day, roughly about 7 to 8. And it'll be something like maybe a salad, possibly some chicken. So yeah, I think I just did some protein. Throughout that, it's just going to be straight water. So I did that, and I didn't even, track the macros at the time, but bam. As you see, I came in and I still wanted the fitness benefits for it, but that was the main focal point. Came in roughly 190, and as you see throughout post fast, lost nearly 10 pounds. So that's a pro on the aspect of fitness. The wellness, mental aspect, the beauty behind it is, you gain more clarity, more focus. You increase your discipline by the amount of not leaning really to your own understanding. Like it's such a challenge. You really have to deny yourself, deny your pleasures, especially when you've been, caught up in a process of, let's say, you know, watching a bunch of TV or just filth, social media, committing gluttony, eating sweets, a lot of sugars, things that you shouldn't do that's not ultimately beneficial for you. But, a lot of us do like comfort eating, or we find comfort in our own pleasures. So whatever your stronghold or you're dealing with, whether it's, lust, pornography, any of that, greed, things that aren't really fruits of the spirit. You have to be mindful, have that intentionality and awareness, and try to refrain, deny yourself. So that's the hardest part. It's easy to, have a level of discipline when things are convenient, but when it's not convenient, or when things are in near sight, and you have to tell yourself, no, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm seeking something greater than now. That's one of the beauties and the benefits. Another thing that I discovered through the process, that ultimately we think we're going through a process for our own benefit, and we will naturally benefit from it somehow, but it's really through others. So, this fast necessarily wasn't solely for me, but others to come, whether that's, a random stranger God may put in my path the following day, next week, friends and family. Ultimately, I had to remove myself and not make the focal point about what I desire, but what I want to see in others as well. Changes within my family, changes within my friends, releasing some of these demonic forces that are placed upon me, my family, friends, people I know. So ultimately, when you're going through that process, got to show and reveal things to you like, okay, you went through this for them to benefit from, ultimately for God to get the glory. And then in due time, you'll benefit from it too in different forms and fashions. So I was just thinking, I was talking to one of my homeboys, and I'm like, he going through some similar struggles and battles. And what I started, subconsciously preaching, ministering to him, he gave back to me. But it was just funny how it played out, with some of his family issues and so forth. And I'm like, yo, God used me. And I'm thinking like, this is what I need to break through from. And I'm up here sharing the word for him, and things is changing for him. So it's one of those things, like, if you activate your faith and you believe it, if he can do it, there's no appointed man. If he can do it for him, he can do it for me. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things as far as reflection and change. And I'm just like, man, all right. And then also, a level of peace, a level of strength, mental, spiritual fortitude that you start to gain from it. You're like, you know what? If I can reframe and deny myself from this and that, man, I can do anything, man. God truly got me. I'm good. So as you finishing up your fast and you transition back to normalcy, you got to take things in strides and little steps, moderations. And one of the things I struggled with in the past, even getting off of fast, is easing back into my old habits. This time I'm a little more intentional, like, nah, I ain't gonna have this, glass of wine, or I ain't gonna rush back to listening to this type of music or doing that. Like, I'm really looking for some intentional breakthrough. And I'm a firm believer, you probably heard it several times in other videos I've got. If you want something to change, then something has to change. Like, ultimately be the change you want to see. Don't mope, complain, cry about it. Like, be willing to do the hard, tough stuff, and then things will work out and become a lot easier if you just face those hard challenges. So that's where I'm at, physical aspect, restarted my body. So now it's easier for me to kind of get back to some of my goals as far as like fitness and men's physique and things like that. I got a better playing field, so I don't got to step into it with all these intense cravings of sugars and cheesecakes and snacks and stuff in the house that the kids got. I'm like, all right, I've already been refraining for this past week. Let me just keep the same momentum, keep the same energy going right now. So, knocking out my water, refraining from sugar and juices and things like that, staying on top of things, and I'm seeing results. And we all know consistency is the key. One reason for me and you why doors have not been opening and you haven't been granted access because you haven't been utilizing that key. You haven't been consistent. The more you be consistent, the more things will happen. And I'm talking to you, but ultimately I'm talking back to myself. So reminding myself, reaffirming that, like, I gotta continue to, push through regardless if I want to or not. Gotta make it happen. No excuses. So I'm not gonna hold it too long. Check out my video right here about denying yourself, and check out the channel and other stuff, and give me your thoughts about it if you've done a fast, and the struggles, any benefits that came from it. Put it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, and if this has impacted you, opened your eyes up a little bit, you feeling this, go ahead and like, share this out, get this word out. We're going to continue to make it happen, grow this channel, and keep these clever convos going. Till next time. All right.